and I accuse him of being a fraud. And yes, he is a big fraud. In fact, there are a lot of people telling me that he has provided his services completely free of charge, which is completely false.
And the immigration company keeps bringing people. People are still applying to go to Canada. There are still people who are interested in going after everything you've told us and shared. Yes, hundreds, thousands. We keep receiving applications and requests in huge numbers, yes. Even though I've been telling them for almost more than a year now about everything that's gotten worse in Canada, the healthcare, the jobs, the salaries, the housing. About the housing, how long ago was this video? That's when I started explaining to you about the housing crisis. Well, I've been explaining to you for years everything that's wrong with Canada, and still you stubbornly say, I'm going for the Canadian dream, and go ahead. Who am I to tell you not to? Especially after what's been happening in the United States lately, where it's practically a war against undocumented immigrants. Honestly, I've been telling you for a while now that Canada has gone downhill a lot in many areas where it used to be a world leader. There are people who had a really bad time, some who did well, some who did so-so, and others who are still fighting. You say I want to join that fight? Go ahead, let's fight together here in Canada. Yes, the immigration company is still open. We haven't raised the prices, we've kept them as low as we can. Guys, believe me, look, the consultation is $80, about $78 go to operating expenses, but again, fair warning. We do help, but first check the programs on the official Canadian immigration website so you can see how much they've restricted entry for immigrants. In all the most popular programs we used to handle, the government put more hurdles in our way. Guys who had already applied, had already come, had already spent, had already invested. The program they applied under already restricts them. Now they ask for one more thing, and some of them we don't even know if they'll be able to stay. I mean, even if they get upset. Some people get upset when we tell them they don't qualify, and we can't send in their application. But oh well, I'd rather they get upset because we didn't send in their application only for it to be rejected than for them to get upset because it was rejected. And since we're already talking about my immigration company, let's welcome today's guest.
I'm referring to this person, Diego Salreina. I accuse him of being a scammer. And yes, he is a big scammer. In fact, there are a lot of people telling me that he has provided his services completely free of charge, which is completely false. What's worse is that he dedicates himself to scamming people because, to begin with, he's not even an immigration consultant. And to those who say, no, that money came from his construction company, no. He got to travel, he made money thanks to the millions of Mexicans who made their little $80 call. Hello everyone, my name is Andromeda Diaz. I live in Canada. I'm a Mexican-Canadian journalist. But this person in particular has gotten very rich with his company, which is called CB Canada Immigration, which is the company that gave him the most money and is the one that helped him travel all over the world, making a lot of money.
Let's get started quickly. This isn't true, it's completely false, and it's not just my word. Here I have my legal tax returns from my accountant. Here in these legal documents, it specifies that in 2022, the year I joined CB Canada, the percentage of my income that came from this company was 0.01%. Here it is. The following year, 2023, the income from CB Canada was 0% with an income of 0 cents. It was me who put in my own money so the company could keep operating, and I do it gladly and will continue to do so because it's helping a lot of people, and that's the intention. Now, these tax returns I'm telling you about have been filed by 2 Canadian professionals. My Canadian accountant, who has a license and code of ethics here in Canada, and who can be sanctioned for lying. By the accountant from CB Canada, another Canadian accountant who is also licensed in Canada. I also include the 2 audits done on us, in which a Canadian financial investigator reviews every cent that has come into the company, cent by cent, and verifies where it goes. These documents declare, confirm, specify that I have received 0. Andromeda, if you want to argue that these 4 Canadian professionals, including the investigators who work directly with the tax minister, are lying or are colluding or that I bought them, if you have your evidence, present it. I also have here the official financial statement of the company, certified and on letterhead, which also lists all the employees and how much each one gets, and there it also confirms that I received zero. If you have contrary evidence, submit it too.
As I said when I went to the Mañanera with President AMLO, and well, the people, for example, right now I see people posting laughing emojis and all that, but honestly, they're very backward, very mediocre people. Because honestly, my only intention is to make people stop being scammed.
Well, Miss Andromeda, let me quickly explain how to solve all this. It's very easy, look. You file a complaint with the Canadian court stating this person is scamming immigrants and they will request evidence. You don't have it, but they'll consider that and send me a letter. Please give them this address. The Canada headquarters office in Edmonton is where it should go. Once I receive it, they'll give me an appointment to appear in court and show all these documents that I have here. My tax return that says I earn zero from Canada headquarters, the tax return from Canada headquarters that shows they don't pay me. Once I appear before the judge, I bring all these papers, he looks at them and dismisses your complaint. And once your complaint is dismissed, they give me a paper that says this: Mrs. Andromeda reported Mr. Saul Reyna for fraud and it was found to be invalid. And I post that paper on my social media and tag you. Why does it have to happen? Because the media has already picked it up and it can't just stay like that. So the next step is up to you. You have to file your complaint so I can refute it with my evidence and leave this whole matter behind. You have to do it as soon as possible so we can move on to the next step in the fastest, most lawful, objective, and least costly way possible. If I'm the one who files the defamation complaint, we won't be able to keep it low cost anymore. So, please proceed with the next step so it shows that you're serious and not just talking on social media. Don't worry, nothing will happen. When you lose a defamation lawsuit, nothing happens. It doesn't go on your criminal record, you don't get fined, you don't get sanctioned. You, as a Canadian citizen, have the undeniable right to use Canadian courts and file a complaint against whoever you want. And if you don't use a lawyer, it's free of charge. But I also, as a Canadian citizen, have the right to defend myself against defamation, and this is the only step we can take. So, I eagerly await your complaint so that you can refute it with a Canadian judge who investigates, who has access to all the finances I already mentioned, and we can put this behind us. Please, I ask you.
However, right now, I am being heavily attacked because of the post I made where I accused him of being a scammer. This company allowed him to travel all over the world, charging $80 for a phone call. I'm referring to this person. Diego Saul Reyna?
He shows several photos of my house in the same video where he says that I got rich with this company, which for some people could imply that I bought this house with money from the company. I bought this house before the company even existed. I mean, I can't buy a property or a house with the income from a company that doesn't even exist yet. So, for those of you who had any doubts, here's the clarification. I had already been living in this house for years when the Canada branch was opened. Before any misunderstanding starts, I'm clarifying it with these videos.
If you don't like what's on my wall, if you don't like what I'm doing, then just leave. But don't be backward, don't be mediocre.
I didn't invent this immigration consulting industry, the Canadian government did, and they created it because they determined it was necessary and very useful. They created an immigration system, yes, and they made it complex with requirements and put all these requirements on their official immigration website, of course. But they also realized that there are some people whose cases are complicated and who can't come on their own or who would benefit a lot from that help. So they created a school where these advisors can go to learn how to do it. They created a union and a body that regulates them. A tax law that charges them taxes and fees in order to operate, and they also created a law that gives penalties to those who do not comply with this. And there are thousands of Canadians who do this for a living. There are also Hispanics, hundreds, who do this as well. An immigration consultation costs you on average $300, $400. We're giving you the lowest price we can. We make superhuman efforts to keep those prices low. And this consultation, which is a conversation with an immigration expert, that's what it is, a conversation. We've never promised anyone we're going to guarantee you citizenship. If you have evidence to the contrary, please present it. Look, I'll show you how I've been advertising this company since it started. Take a look.
Here are the main requirements to go to Canada. If you don't have any of these, I'm telling you honestly and with good intentions, don't waste your money, don't throw it away. We don't want to take your money to tell you something I can tell you right now. If you don't have any of these, your options are almost non-existent.
As you can see, we are a very ethical company and we've made it very clear to you. Check your requirements on the official website.
Can you do this whole process yourself? Of course. Do you need advice? It's a good idea. Who should you hire for advice? Well, anyone who is regulated here. Would you like to do this process with us at CB Canada Immigration? Can you do the process yourself? Of course you can. On the official Canadian immigration website, they give you the forms and the payment methods. On this channel, I am neutral, but any registered lawyer can give you that same service.
And what business owner tells you, you don't have to hire me, anyone is fine?
Besides, she's a privileged person who came here to Canada, not like many of us who arrived without knowing much. He came with a family thanks to the religion he practiced, and his family sent him to live with another family here in Canada.
That's not true. It's also completely false. My parents' religion has absolutely nothing to do with the program I came through. They didn't send me to live with any family. That happened after I had an accident in which I lost mobility in both hands. I lost the tendons in all the fingers on both hands when I was 17. I don't know how that's a privilege.
And well, after that, he met his wife, and together they came up with the idea for the immigration business.
That's not true either. My ex-partner has never been involved in the immigration business, never. In the video where I announced that I was launching it, I showed you the official document, the title deed, where you can see the owner's names, and her name never appears there. A reporter would have done this investigative work. It's not hard. If you don't want to watch all my videos, check Alberta's Public Business Registry to find all the owners' names. I'm not being mean, but your investigation is terrible. It's not research, just defamation and empty talk.
I mean, I've never seen a video of him where he says, look folks, if you want to come to Canada, you can go to this website. If you're looking for a job, even if you only speak Spanish, you can go to this link.
I believe you when you say you've never seen it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Let me show you what my content has been like for years.
But reading this site comes first. Everything starts with, let's see, repeat after me, class. Sites and scams from Canada. Perfect, now you know. It doesn't start with a WhatsApp chain, sending a message or comment on Facebook, or paying at OXXO. It starts here. If they ask you for money, it's a scam.
The official website of the Canadian government also offers free educational material for English and French.
I can only give you the Canadian website one more time.
I've never seen a video of him where he says, if you want to come to Canada, you can go to such and such website.
The most crucial, fundamental one. I could never emphasize it enough. Step number 1. The first step is to go to this website. www.canada.ca. This is the first step. And for some reason, do you think a Facebook group is better than the official website of Canadian immigration? If your plan to immigrate to Canada consists of making posts and comments like this without visiting this site first, I'm sorry, but most likely you'll never make it here. And to make it clear, the first step is this site. It's on the official Canadian immigration portal. Again, brothers, the first step is this website, www.canada.ca. If you haven't visited it yet, pause this video and go check it out. Step number 1, you're going to go to the official Canadian immigration website. This is it. The link is in the description below.
But what catches my attention is that neither of them says to you, you know what? If you go to this page, www.canada.ca, you can go through the process without paying a single cent. And he has the obligation to say who the immigration advisor is or who is backing him up, but he never gives that information because what he wants is to have the power.
It's also false and very false to refute. Look, you go to the official Canada immigration website and there you'll find our accredited advisor, his full name and his license number, so you can go to the regulated advisor site yourself and see it for yourself. Also, when you book your consultation, you receive an email confirming the time and date, and it includes his license number so you can go to the site and verify it. And this has been the case in absolutely all the consultations we've given, in all of them. If you have evidence to the contrary, please submit it.
It can't be done for free.
Unfortunately, it's impossible.
He says it's impossible to help for free. There we have proof that he does charge How much does he charge for the consultation? For a phone call?
I have the proof, he says. No, I never said that. He cut it off before I could say it. What I said was, I can't tell Canadian professionals to work for free. To prevent people from having their lives ruined, the Canadian government regulated those who give legal immigration advice. These people have to go to school and they have to pay a fee to graduate, so therefore they can't work for free. I can't go to the dentist and say, treat me for free. I can't take my car in for repairs and say, do it for free. I can't go to the immigration advisors and say, take care of my clients for free. That's what I said, and that's where he cut it off. 99% of you understand that. You're hiring a service in Canada from a professional who pays taxes, salaries, rent, electricity, and license fees in Canadian dollars, right? This young lady is trying to keep you from getting it, but she actually does.
The proof that he does charge, how much does he charge for the consultation? For a phone call?
This isn't true either. It's completely false. I've never charged for giving any of the consultations. All of them, 100% of them, are registered in our records with the advisor's name. By law, we have to keep them for life. And they're there. I also present them to the judge. If you have evidence to the contrary, please present it.
Because I already spoke with someone who received this advice and was very disappointed with the information they were given.
Here, she touched on a very important point, and it's very true. Let's take a look. Yes, there are people who are not satisfied with the service we provided them, the consultation. Most of them because we told them they don't qualify, or because we didn't tell them anything they didn't already know. That means they did do their homework. They did research on the official website of Canadian Immigration. They read the programs and they read the requirements. But they thought, maybe if an accredited advisor guides me, he might know something I don't. And the truth is no. And I've told you that from the beginning. The advisor will only share information from the Canadian Immigration website. If you aren't eligible, we'll honestly let you know. Even if it bothers you, some people checked and said they didn't qualify, but still talked to the immigration advisor just in case. And that immigration advisor did find a legal path and that person qualified. Of course it happens, but not in every case. And when that's the case, we're going to tell you, even if it bothers you. Thank you.
Because due to her divorce, her separation, well, this caused her to have to close her company, which was very lucrative and was the one that gave her all those millions of followers.
No, that's not true either. When I opened my immigration company, I already had millions of followers. And how did I get them? I'll show you an example of how I got them. Here's one of my first videos. I leave
Also, this video that gives you
instructions on
how to know if your
education is valid in Canada. Check it out.
I'm also sharing another video with the links.
And the instructions for
How to find out your
express entry score.
You may qualify to enter Canada legally with permanent residency, even without a job offer, if you have enough points. The points are based on age.
Language, education, adaptability.
Look,
It's free.
it takes 10 minutes, write down your information, and see what score you got.
And that's how millions of people came to my channels, long before my migration company existed. And I didn't just dedicate all my free time to giving free information and warning about fraud. I also called the scammers and tried to track them down, show their faces, and expose them. And many times I succeeded. I went in person to the places where you were being scammed to locate and identify them. I also sent my relatives with hidden cameras to do the same. Am I going to the embassy or?
Thank you. Hey, and the 45,000 is per person, right?
Sí, claro que es por persona.
Sure. Can you give me the address, or I can go to Berrizabal and call you?
Tercera Sur.
Convicta. Convicta. Now you only need me to handle the passport, certificate, and course. Yes, but I want to know what the job is and how it is. Oh, it's for packing vegetables? Is that agricultural work? Yes, in a factory.
I only financed, investigated, and managed to have groups of scammers identified, arrested, and sentenced. Nowadays, up to this date, there are many people in jail in Mexico because of reports I made with evidence I presented without anyone paying or financing me, long before I was involved with the migration company. No, that's not true. I didn't get rich with the company. It's actually the opposite. I spend money to keep it running. And I didn't get my followers because of the company either. I showed them the good and the bad. I showed them the hundreds of horrible cases out there.
Do you remember the 43 Mexicans who were rescued from modern slavery in Ontario?
I'm Mexican and I'm a migrant in Canada. The worst thing that's happened to me in this country is going to a self-service store, and the person working there was racist against Mexicans. I paid him for a product, but he threw the money back and refused service. He insulted me, leaving me powerless and unsure how to respond.
Racism isn't common here in Canada, but of course it exists. And if it exists, it can happen to you. Do you know what the most common difficulties immigrants face in Canada are? Almost everyone faces at least 4 or 5 of these issues early on. High cost of living, everything is expensive, and food, including fruits and meats, is bland and costly. Houses in Toronto and Vancouver cost at least $1 million. Your university degree doesn't count. You pay for it because it's required, but once you're here, it's dismissed. The weather is harsh for 7 months a year. High taxes are deducted from your first job. You must spend in dollars or get permits and licenses, all in English. The pesos you bring aren't enough. Canadians here aren't immediately friendly. Some people can't find jobs. They simply spend all the savings they brought, sometimes borrowed, and time goes by here as they keep spending Canadian dollars and they can't find a job. I'm not interested in subscribers. I'm interested in telling you the truth, and you can't be popular and honest at the same time.
How much of that have I shown you? Well, look, I was the first Spanish-speaking YouTuber who went to investigate the fields where exploited Mexicans work. And I also did interviews with those who are fighting every day, working without papers. In just this video, I interviewed about 25 of them. And even so, I hear from thousands of people every day who want to book a consultation with my company.
They say, come, but they don't tell you that when you arrive, you'll be in for the shock of your life. What they don't tell you is that right now the country doesn't want immigrants anymore. Why doesn't this man, Saul Reyna, say that if you go to Google and search for Job Bank or Job Bank in Canada, just like that, Job Bank?
It will give you this option called Job Bank. This is the one I already have open. Look, the way I recommend is the Job Bank. It's the safest. In this YouTube video, I show you.
You put these in just like this. Like this. And there you'll find all the job offers that you'll be hearing about over the phone after paying $80. So that's how it was. He can't even have his company here anymore because it's something he started with his wife. It's disappointing because in this video he says he doesn't want to profit, but he's already made a lot of money and keeps doing so. Since he can't keep his company in Canada, he already set it up in Mexico City. And he already has a company over there. He already has a group of people there who are luring a lot of Mexicans, charging them those $80, which would be more than 1,000 pesos.
This isn't true either. It's completely false. The company is still here in Edmonton. You can go to Google Maps and see it. It's there. And you can call, you can come in person, and we'll assist you in person. And she knows this. Why does she say that my company doesn't exist here anymore or that it can't exist anymore? I don't know. Why would she say that when she saw it on the map herself? I don't know. Well, she tells you that since it can't exist here anymore, it had to move to Mexico. That's not true either. The company in Mexico to begin with is not in Mexico City, it's in Leon. 5 minutes of research. Well, there we have an international education license through which we send students to Ireland, the United Kingdom, Australia, the United States, and Canada. It's a completely different license that operates under a completely different program, the Study Pathway. It's a placement agency for students. I was there in that office and I help people for free. It's not an immigration consultancy. It's counseling for studying abroad, for which I don't need a license. And in that office, no one has ever been charged for counseling. Andromeda, if you have evidence to the contrary, please present it so we can see that you're not just talking on social media. In that office, you don't pay us. The school is the one who pays us. The client is not charged a single cent, not until they have received their acceptance letter and their work permits. And all of this is documented. Show me a single person who has been charged at the Mexico office and I'll give you 10,000 Canadian dollars in cash. Again, you just accused me that people who go to the office in Leon, Mexico are charged $80 for the consultation. I repeat, I assure you and guarantee that this is not true. But if you have evidence that it is true and you present it, I will give you 10,000 Canadian dollars cash in your hand. Show me just one person who was charged at the Leon, Mexico office. Please, I'll be waiting for you here.
What I do believe is that he has been the main scammer who profits off fellow Mexicans, because there are a lot of people who have fallen for these scammers. These evil people who profit from the Canadian dream and charge $80 for basic and free information, just like Saul Reina does. I think the most common job classifications for men and women: for women, there's prostitution, childcare, elder care, and cleaning. And for men, well, obviously construction. In fact, Saul Reina is so mean-spirited that right now, taking advantage of the situation happening in Mexico, he's telling our fellow countrymen over in the United States that if they don't have legal status there, that they can come here to Canada and that he can help them, that they should contact him.
Yes, to all the millions of people who are afraid of being deported in the United States, you can buy your ticket into Canada through a school. I mean, you can't buy your residency, but you can buy a school. And I never said contact me, I said contact CB Canada. If you are undocumented in the United States and you have the means to buy a school in Canada, you can enter Canada legally. Thank you, Andromeda, for the publicity.
If it's for profit, if it's a scam, don't let them fool you. What he doesn't say is that he got here without struggling, because he arrived with a family that already knew his family and who belonged to the same religion as him, and he was living the single life, leaving his family abandoned there.
So, we've already seen that Miss Andromeda doesn't criticize the immigration consulting industry. It's been around since the 70s and she has no problem with it. She doesn't criticize immigration consultants either. There are thousands of them, and she has no problem with them. She also doesn't criticize Hispanics in the immigration field. She also doesn't criticize people who volunteer or provide information without being accredited. In fact, she herself reminds us that she does that. So, what exactly is her problem? She isn't bothered by the prices either, because all consultations cost $300 and up. Ours costs $80. She criticizes the one that costs $80, but not the ones that cost $300 for the same reason. So, the problem she has is with me. What exactly is bothering her? I mean, why is she so upset? No, I can't find a reason. Is it because I have a nice house? Is it because I have social media followers or was successful in Canada?
He doesn't mention anything about his so-called immigration company anymore, the one he made his millions with. He's been traveling and enjoying life.
He mentions a lot that I travel. Maybe that's why? When I couldn't travel, I saw other people traveling and it made me really happy. Wow, that's cool. How did it go? What did you see? I've never felt jealous of people traveling. But when I started traveling, I noticed many people get jealous when you travel. Maybe that's why?
With his millions, he was traveling and traveling, enjoying life and living like a bachelor, leaving his family abandoned.
The whole family was abandoned. Are you talking about these kids? Well, the other two are at school. In a little while, I'll pick them up and we're going to go out for the weekend. I'm telling you not to make fun of those kids from Yalitza and their essence, but you still do. Susan, what will you order? Chicken. And what are you going to order? Chicken nuggets?
Chicken nuggets.
See, that's why it's not good to talk about people's private lives when you don't know, because you can easily end up looking ridiculous. The video is half an hour long and just repeats the same thing, but I'll leave the original version so you can watch the whole video and see that I didn't take anything out of context. And you already know what the only way to solve this legally is. Well, please make it a priority. Do it this week because I want to get the paperwork filed already. I'm going to tell you beforehand, but it's not for you to get upset. Well, I'm telling you, but it's not for you to get angry about it. I want to get them filed this week because I'm going on a trip. I'm going to 3 different countries to make really good content and very interesting documentaries to expose some real truths. It's going to be excellent. Well, before I go on my trip, I want this matter to be at least started, already filed, so that we can both continue with our daily tasks. I also made this video, which is very important. The most complete free guide on how to immigrate to Canada in Spanish on the internet, chapter by chapter, program by program. But it's a bit outdated now. I'm going to make the new one for 2025. The most complete guide on how to immigrate to Canada in Spanish, available for free on the internet, expected in the coming months. So now you know, if you're one of those people who, despite the crisis in Canada, feels that you can build a better future here, join us. But it's better if our guest today makes the announcement about being from Canada. So go ahead, recommend the company to us.
If you want to come to Canada, get information from the immigration company, at my company, Saul Reyna's company, and at the company, and at the company.
Thanks for the mention. Give us a call.